Today, art stores feel like a candy land for artists, each brand offering over 100 different tubes of paint to choose from. But do we really need all these colors? The answer is no. Think of Anders Zorn, who created stunning, colorful paintings using just a limited palette of 4 colors. In the past, artists had to grind their own pigments, which naturally kept their palettes simple. But now, with the machines doing all the hard work for us, the sky, or rather our budget, is the limit. The invention that truly changed everything was the aluminum paint tube, introduced by American painter John G. Rand. This innovation made it possible to travel with paints, walk on plein air, and keep paints wet for longer periods of time. Before that, the pig's bladder was used to store paint. Pig's bladder was also used for balloons for children. The paint tube revolutionized art, giving rise to Impressionism, a movement that broke traditional academic rules and hierarchy of art. With so many paints available to us today, how do we choose our paints? Every paint has specific characteristics that affect how it behaves on the canvas. Number one, opacity versus transparency. Some pigments cover well, while others are best for glazing. Number two, tinting power. How strong a color influences a mixture. Number three, lightfastness. How resistant the pigment is to fading, darkening, or becoming transparent over time due to the exposure to the light. Number four, texture and body. Ratio of pigment saturation to a filler or binder. The difference between student grade and professional grade paints. Number five, toxicity. Number six, drying time. Some paints dry quickly while others stay wet for a long time. Number seven, saturation or desaturation. Vibrant colors versus muted, such as earth tones. And number eight, temperature. Every color leans towards warm or cool, affecting how it interacts in the mixtures. Each artist develops a unique approach to their palette. Some work with only 4 to 6 colors, while others prefer 10 to 15. My advice on choosing paints. If I could give you one piece of advice, it would be this. Don't wait until you've learned to paint to invest in quality materials. Buy the best paints you can afford because you get what you pay for. You wouldn't wait to tune a piano until you've learned to play, just as you wouldn't practice swimming in an empty pool. Learning to paint is about learning how the paint behaves, how it mixes, how it moves under the brush, how it reacts when applied thickly or thinly into a glaze. If you start with the student-grade paints, you will have to relearn everything later. If there is a hue or imitation in the title of the paint, like cadmium yellow hue, it's not a real pigment, but it's generic substitute that may look close to the desired color, but have no other qualities of the paint like vibrancy or opacity. Be generous with your paint. Don't be afraid to use paint. At first, you might waste a little bit, but that's a necessary part of learning. You need paint to paint. Always set up your palette the same way every time so that finding colors becomes a second nature. And don't cater your palette to a single painting. Just because your still life doesn't have a blue doesn't mean you should leave it out. You might need it for mixing or cooling down a warm color. My palette setup. I organize my palette with 2 temperatures of each hue, placing cool colors first, followed by warm. I also separate my fast-drying earth tones from my high chroma, slow-drying colors. which makes it easier to manage replacement. My earth tones are refreshed every 2 days, while most others' colors last around 10 days. My final thoughts: every artist must find a palette that suits their aesthetic, budget, and style. When learning to paint, don't overwhelm yourself with too many colors. Start with a limited palette, learn how each pigment behaves, and gradually expand it as needed. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out. And if you enjoyed this video, please share it with others. Your support means so much to me. Thank you so much.